It's dark. It's late. I didn't do one last night because we saw Sinners in the movie theater at the Vista. And then we watched True Romance this evening, and we saw the Vista in True Romance, which was pretty cool. But the funny part was that the Vista movie theater, which is on Sunset Boulevard? Sunset. At the corner of like Sunset and Hollywood, like right down over there by Children's Hospital. Quentin Tarantino bought it and renovated it. It's beautiful. And right next door is Pam's Coffee. But in the movie, it's made to feel like it's in Detroit. So as Detroiters, we were having a good time watching True Romance and going, wait, there's no 112th Street in Detroit. Wait, 56th Street in Detroit. And then, wait, the Vista Theater, that's on Sunset. And they're at Ray's? Ray's isn't open late. That's in Santa Monica. We were being those people. But it was really hard to not do that when you live in Los Angeles and you know Detroit really well. Anyway, we had a good time watching True Romance. Let's get into the 4Ks. First one up, Limbo. Haven't seen it. The cover looks great, and it was like in a cool box, and it was opened and cheap, and I still haven't watched it. Black and white picture. I don't know what it's about, but it just looks really cool. So that's why that's there, and I'm going to watch it soon. I still have the artwork, and it's like the images look super cool, compositional, like it looks like a picture book. No greater reason than that. Next one, Steven Soderbergh's The Limey with Terrence Stamp. Dude, what a great picture. Also got this used, saw it a while ago. This was released by Lionsgate several years ago. Kind of a revenge type of a picture, but like I just loved his moves in this film. Just a really great character piece. And didn't know it was out. There was a stretch of time where I got a bunch of 4Ks and was like, and the Limey got sucked up into that, and I've become much more intentional lately. But there was a period of time where I was just kind of like, I don't know, had a bunch of stuff running. Like I was recording every week on the Crudes and had work coming in, and you know, when you're freelancer, sometimes you're flush and you're like, I'm gonna go to Amoeba and get a bunch of movies. So the Limey was one of those purchases, and I hold on to it because it's a great movie. All right, this one does have a little bit more personal resonance for me. Gina Davis and Samuel L. Jackson, Craig Bierko. I believe Craig Bierko's in this, is the bad guy. Rennie Harlin's The Long Kiss Goodnight, a recent Arrow release. So The Long Kiss Goodnight, here's why this movie is important to me and why I have it. I remember seeing it in the theater and having a good time. And then my dad had renal failure in 1997, and I was living in Bowling Green, Ohio. I was doing a play. I was just kind of starting my acting career back up. I was working as a multimedia producer. My ex-wife was in grad school, and Dad needed a kidney. And in fact, it's so wild. Like today is, right now it's June 1st. It's about to become June 1st. We did the donation on June 5th. So I'm 4 days away from what year? We did it in 98. And this is 2025. So almost 30 years now. So yeah, my math is so bad. 27 years? Yeah. It'll be the 27-year anniversary of the kidney donation. My dad's had that kidney for 27 years, and it's still working. He's been doing a great job taking care of it. At any rate, I digress. But yeah, they never asked. My parents never asked. They were like, we're not going to ask you guys. I'm the oldest of 5 boys, and me and the twins, who are 2 years behind me, were of age to donate. At the time, neither of my brothers, were they married yet? They weren't. James and Jer weren't married yet. They were like single and living in parsonages, and like they had degrees in like rec degrees, and they were, doing well. Like my brother Jared was like building a canoe and stuff like that. And I was a smoker, and I drank and was working at a company that was slowly going bankrupt. Super stressful job. My wife was in graduate school. I was trying to start an acting career, and was like, man, of course I'm willing, but it wasn't a great time for us to be, laid up with everything involved with kidney donation. And one of the things that's interesting about being a kidney donor, there's no financial assistance if you're a donor. There's no system to help you out, and you have a pretty intense recovery. So if you do, like for me, I mean, I was an editor, I wasn't doing any lifting, anything like that would be physically taxing. So I could handle the recovery, be back to work probably within 2 weeks. But like they were going to cut me from the bottom of my sternum to the top of my groin. It was a significant removal process. So they were like, you're going to be laid up for about 6 weeks. Well, that's 6 weeks, no income with a wife in grad school. So we were like, why'd you come to me? Just out of curiosity. And I'm like, well, you're the oldest. So they asked my 2 brothers, who are both first responders. They're like ambulance drivers. And they were like, we want to do it. And both of them had high blood pressure. And they were like, yeah, you're not ideal candidates. Let's go back to Kiff. So when they did that, I was like, Dunzo, it's me. Let's go. So on that day, when it came back to me, I left work early because I couldn't really focus. And I was going back to our apartment in Bowling Green, and I stopped at the mall and went to the Camelot Music. And it was the clamshell DVDs. Warner Brothers had released these DVDs, and they were like cardboard boxes with a little plastic, and they're everywhere. But The Long Kiss Goodnight had just come out, and I bought that DVD kind of as retail therapy, and that was why The Long Kiss Goodnight has a really, really specific set of memories for me. With that particular time. And it's not, again, because of the movie, but because of the circumstance that really resonates for me. And it's, so this comes out, here it is on Arrow, a really terrific disc, and Gina Davis is, amazing. This performance is so wild, and it's about motherhood and strength, and Sam Jackson is terrific in it. So I'm looking forward to watching that again. Okay. Oh, thanks so much, Cher, for the invitation to participate, being live in the video. I'm probably not going to do it just because it's so late. I'm tired, and I'm pushing my way through. But thank you so much for the ask. Next movie up, The Lost Boys. Kiefer Sutherland, Joel Schumacher made this picture. I do prefer physical discs. I do prefer physical media. Part of the reason why I prefer physical media, Isaiah, is because, I'll give you a perfect example. I'm on the TV show Richie Rich on Netflix, and at the beginning of the month, Netflix decided that they weren't going to show Richie Rich anymore, and now that show is gone. Now, I've been paying my subscription to Netflix, but I no longer have access to that show. And that means I don't have demo reel material for that unless I captured it. So that goes across the board. But thank you for understanding, Cher. And dude, thank you so much for asking. But so that's why. We were, I don't know, this is what started it. Like, I don't know, 4 years ago, my wife was like, oh, it'd be fun to watch is Beauty and the Beast, Disney's Beauty and the Beast. And we're like, yeah, that would be great. Do we have the DVD of it? And we were like, no, I don't think we do. Well, I'm sure it's streaming. And it wasn't. It wasn't streaming anywhere. It wasn't on. Yeah, it really is. And it's kind of like I view my collection as my own personal vault of film history and film preservation. So that's kind of it. All right. The Lost Boys. It's such a fun vampire movie. Like I mentioned, we saw Sinners last night, and what I loved about Lost Boys, I mean, I'm Gen X, so like Kiefer Sutherland was like our kind of everything. Kiefer Sutherland and Corey Feldman and Corey Haim are so great in this movie, and Diane Wiest and Alex Winter and Patrick Dempsey. Is it Patrick Dempsey? And Jamie Gertz. So much style, and the dude playing the saxophone. When I was in high school, I came out here to California for a summer, and we went down to Santa Cruz and saw where they shot the movie and everything. Tui, what's up? I was just about to talk about Sinners, bro, and talking about The Lost Boys. And, like, The Lost Boys is one of the first movies to really lean into the importance of, if there's vampires around, you need to invite them in. And that plays very heavily into Sinners. And so The Lost Boys was kind of speaks to that movie in a really interesting way. But I mean, again, like I said, I'm a Gen Xer, so The Lost Boys is one of those like cool, hip vampire flicks that that we all absolutely loved growing up. And the soundtrack, dude, it's fire. The soundtrack is so great. And I still believe, and cry, little sister, thou shalt, right? Dude, so good. Dude, so I don't want to go off on too much of a tangent. I have pre-ordered Sinners on 4K. Yeah, see Sinners. John, who just joined the chat here, and I have been, we need to talk about Sinners because, dude, he got on here the other night, was like, bro, he's like, it's one of those movies that, that comes along once in a generation, that makes you want to not only see movies in the theater, but it makes you want to make them. It makes you, there are moments in that film, and this is no spoilers at all, I promise you, that to put it this way, we got done with the film. I'm sitting, my wife and my daughter's 18, and both me and my daughter are crying, and we don't know why we're crying. And I can't put a finger on it. It was just overwhelming satisfaction and joy from such a moving, dynamic, cinematic experience. Like the kind of experience that I had. Agreed. Totally agreed. Dude, I mean, Sherry and I say all the time, like, I always beware of films that everyone is like, oh, bro, you got to go see that. You got to go see it. It's amazing. It really, truly did. It covers every genre in 2 hours and does it better than most films. The only thing I would compare it to, and this isn't even an apples to apples comparison, is Godzilla -1, which is probably my favorite movie the past 5 years, next door to Sinners. And it's like, yeah, films that get hyped up disappoint. This one, because it's about more. It's about more than just a vampire picture. Like, there's so many things happening. The one thing I will say, and we had a challenge with this, is I had a little bit of difficulty understanding some of the dialogue in the first half of the movie. So, like, make sure you go to a theater that has a great, like, treble and good mid sound. Like, we saw it 70 millimeter. It looked beautiful, but the bass was up, and Michael B. Jordan's, like, timbre was low, so I had a harder time, and he's speaking with, like, a heavy Louisiana dialect, so anyone who was speaking in their higher register, I understood, like, clear as a bell, but some of the deeper voices were a little bit tough to understand. So, like, I'm really looking forward to when the streaming becomes available, or the DVD, just to be able to watch it with subtitles so I can track all the dialogue that I missed. But dude, there's a shot in the middle of the movie, two of you know what I'm talking about, that is on par with some of the best single shots executed in film history. It's yeah. I mean, halfway through that shot, peripherally, my daughter had her hands on her head and is shaking her head like, what am I looking at? It was just overwhelming and joyful and beautiful and moving. It's just not what I expected at all. I don't feel like the trailers did the film justice in any way. Although I did see a trailer last night after kind of combing the YouTube, that felt like, oh, this trailer looks far more like the movie I just saw than the other trailers that we saw in the theater. It gave a better sense of the film's tone. Oh, dude. And Tui, we'll talk offline, but like Delroy Lindo's monologue in the car. Oh, I mean, so there you go. Right? All right. I always say this, but here we go. I'm at the halfway point. This is amazing. Here we go. This film, Lucy, Scarlett Johansson. I want to say Luc Besson did this, but I don't think it was Luc Besson. Yeah, man. You make sure you catch it on a big screen too, Isaiah. You definitely want to catch it. Lucy. So when my daughter was, God, how old was she? 8. 8 years old. And, you know, we raised her on a steady diet of movie trailers as they came out.
It is Luc Besson.
It is Luc Besson. Yeah. Sweet. So Luc Besson directed Lucy, Scarlett Johansson, Morgan Freeman. And we showed her the trailer. And then we found out that Lucy was rated R. And we had to go break the news to this 8-year-old that, honey, I'm afraid Lucy is R-rated. And she burst into tears. And so Sherry and I had a long conversation. And again, this is Gen X, man. Sherry was like, look, you know, my mom took me to see Excalibur in the theater when I was 8, like, and I turned out okay. And like, that was the thing, man. We were latchkey kids, dude. Like, if our parents wanted to see a movie, it was like, get in the car, we're all going. And it was like, it's cheaper to buy you a movie ticket than it is to pay a babysitter. And so we're all going to the theater together. And if something is offensive, you'll close your eyes or look away. But this is
his wife or her lover.
What?
And they were sitting there watching. Well, it was me and my mom watching The Cook, The Thief, His Wife, Her Lover. I saw that in the movie theater.
Oh my God.
At the DIA, yeah. At the draftsman's contract.
Oh my God.
I saw it in the movie theater.
See, you had like a.
Kind of like when I looked at what the R rating was for, I was like, man.
Yeah, a little bit of language and a little bit of blood.
The R rating for Lucy was because when she's like in the jail cell, she kind of opens her legs a little bit and looks at the guy to try to seduce him. She's wearing clothes.
Yeah.
She just goes like this and kind of opens her legs. That's what the R rating is for.
What?
Yeah, I looked it up. And then I was like...
yeah. That ain't nothing, yeah. I mean, when you value program on Cook, Thief, Wife, Lover, Excalibur, and the Draftsman's Contract, come on, you can handle seeing a little bit of inner thigh. Plus, like, I mean, we took the kid to go see, you know, Blade Runner 2049. I watched Blade Runner with her. So anyway, Sherry took the kid to go see Lucy, and it went over like gangbusters. And then I watched that picture. That movie's great. Like, visually, so interesting. Luc Besson is just a fascinating filmmaker anyway. I mean, The Professional is such a dynamite picture, and The Fifth Element, we talked about that before. La Femme Nikita. Come on. So Lucy is great. All right. I'm a diehard. Mama does know best. Parents never hid anything from me, especially art. Dude, that's great, Isaiah. I don't see any negative downsides either. I think it's better to experience it and talk about it. And my parents, when they tried to hide it, then we would go out of our way to track it down. And my parents never really hid movies from us, except for like Beverly Hills Cop. They were like, there's too much language. It was like, too much language. Like, I had listened to Eddie Murphy's comedian, like, and Eddie Murphy's out. Like, there was more cussing on the stand-up tapes that I had heard than in Beverly Hills Cop, and at least in Beverly Hills Cop it had context. Anyway, let's talk about Taylor. Let's talk about Taylor Kresny just joined you guys, and if you haven't watched, by the way, that's the truth. Forbidden Fruit is the sweetest. And if you haven't watched the show The Rehearsal on HBO Max, Taylor just did a bit on Season 2, Episode 3. If you watch the show, she worked on stilts. She played Nathan Fielder's mother. Of course. Did you go to was that tonight, the event at Vidiot's with Jack Black? Was that tonight, Taylor, or was that tomorrow night? It might be tonight. Might have been. If it was tonight, congratulations. I hope you had a good time. If it's tomorrow night, I'm excited for it. It's tomorrow. Awesome. Fantastic. Woo! So much fun. Taylor does a whole bit with tiny hands, and it's super fun. All right. Anyway, hey, this is The Magnificent Seven. The Magnificent Seven, of course, is a remake, a Western remake of the, oh, shoot. Thank you for the offer, Taylor. We have plans. We're going to, I think we're going to see Thunderbolts. Otherwise, I would totally jump on it, but thank you so much. But saw Sinners last night. So good. And I've been binging Falcon and Winter Soldier to catch up on all the stuff today. But Magnificent Seven, Charles Bronson, Steve McQueen, remake of the Seven Samurai. Seven Samurai, by the way, is GOAT. But the Magnificent Seven is spectacular. This is not the, this is not, by the way, obviously the Denzel Washington remake. This is with like the OG, like with Yul Brynner, and it's just a magnificent Western. These old school Westerns are so much fun. Highly recommend you check this out. That's why it's here. It's a classic, and it's never streaming. It's never on, and like, it's one of those things. What I love about Charles Bronson, and you see this in The Great Escape. What I love about Steve McQueen, you see it there too. There's just the effortlessness of these actors from back in the day. Thank you so much. Sleep tight, and definitely movie night soon. Absolutely. Have a great night. Thanks for popping in, Taylor. Yeah, Magnificent Seven is a must see. All right. Humphrey Bogart, Mary Astor, Peter Lorre, the Maltese Falcon, legendary film noir, classic, Sidney Greenstreet, all the things. Dude, totally. The alphas of that era are the best. And like, it's a master class in all the things that you need to do as an actor. Like, you needed to be able to ride a horse, shoot a gun, deliver dialogue, hit a mark, and drink. Like, all those things were what those guys did. James Coburn, you just need to be able to hang with those cats. And, and they're surly and all of it. But Maltese Falcon, more of the same, just 20 years before, but the same kind of a vibe. But man, just a classic. The dialogue, I remember I wrote a play when I was in college. It's the first time I saw Maltese Falcon and The Big Sleep. And I watched Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid to kind of get a sense of it as well. Steve Martin's comedy where he intercut all these classic Warner Brothers gangster pictures and film noir. And the play that I wrote was called The Smoking Gun of Love, and it was kind of a, just a dumb comedy where I was trying to capture that tone and the timbre and the language. And my first draft I wrote was just chock full of profanity. And I had a professor, the technical director at the school in the theater, who was like, bro, no one in the 40s talked like that. So I went and watched these movies and got this great vocabulary, like, why you birds cracking foxy down at the station house, and your legs go all the way up, don't they, sister? And stuff like that. It's just these great little hilarious one-liners that were just so juicy and strange. So my show ended up being a bunch of like 40s private eye cliches, and it was super fun. All right, 2 more, and then that's it for the night because my eyes are dripping closed. Let's go in with this classic: Frank Sinatra, Angela Lansbury, Lawrence Harvey, The Manchurian Candidate by John Frankenheimer, black and white. Now, they remade this again. Another Denzel Washington remake. Denzel knows you're going to remake something, remake good stuff. Denzel remade The Magnificent Seven. He remade The Manchurian Candidate. He remade The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3 with John Travolta. He's remaking High and Low right now. He just did with Spike Lee as highest and lowest. But The Manchurian Candidate, dude, this movie slaps. Janet Leigh from Psycho fame, just gorgeous. Boy, oh boy. The Manchurian Candidate is about, so if I mentioned earlier Falcon and Winter Soldier, like the Winter Soldier stuff with the brainwashing that Bucky Barnes goes through, this is the movie that really dives into that stuff back in the day. And so The Manchurian Candidate, Lawrence Harvey and his team of, during the Korean War are captured. This patrol is captured, and Frank Sinatra is part of that group. That's it. Denzel and the team plan for everything he signs up for. Winning choices always. Always, man. 100%. Inside Man, come on. Freaking. Yeah, dude. 100%. So Sinatra and his team get captured, and then they're on the Manchurian Peninsula, and they get brainwashed, and they turn Lawrence Harvey into an assassin. And he gets phone calls to activate him. And then they tell him to, kill different targets. So he's like a sleeper cell agent. And man, this movie is a nail biter. It's John Frankenheimer, man. I mean, he made The French Connection. He made, oh my God. No, it's Friedkin did The Exorcist, but John Frankenheimer made some of he made Sorcerer. No, that's Friedkin too. Frankenheimer made some of the best action pictures of the 70s, and Manchurian Candidate is a nail biter. So 100% check out the original. Last one for tonight. I got a soft spot for this one. This is a bit of a shaggy dog, but I like it a lot just because I like Henry Cavill. And I love Guy Ritchie. It's always a good time. This is The Man from U.N.C.L.E. It's a TV remake with Henry Cavill and Armie Hammer. Henry Cavill is the American agent. Oh, what's his name? Doesn't matter. But Guy Ritchie directs. The score is so much fun. It's set in the 60s and the Cold War, and the fashion is great, and the movie just moves. Hugh Grant shows up. It's funny. It's got Henry is amazing. It's just got such a great energy. I saw this, where was I when this movie came out? I was on the road doing something, and the movie just hit in the right place for me. We weren't doing Young Rock yet. doesn't matter. I was out. I wasn't home. I was on the road somewhere, and then I was kind of like, this movie is special. And it is kind of sweet and fun. Yeah, so when Arrow released it, I was like, what? Okay, let's get it. But the soundtrack introduced me to Roberta Flack, who just recently passed. If you haven't heard Roberta Flack's music on your streamer, on Spotify, on Tidal, YouTube Music, Amazon Music, wherever you get your music, I agree. He is, man. There you go. Come on. Always an excuse to flash the tat. Here we go, Johnny. There you go. Cavill, Superman, Man of Steel, baby. I don't need to show it to you. You were there when we got it, baby. You helped me pick this bad boy out. All right. Quiet Fire is the name of the album. First Take, Roberta Flack, First Take, and Quiet Fire. Those two albums by Roberta Flack are undefeated. Always, man. Always showing them what's up. Thanks a lot, bro. Two sessions. That's a whole story. I'll go in another time. All right, two last ones, just to wrap up this page. I had never seen this, to my great shame, and then they released it on 4K, and I picked it up. Masterpiece. John Ford directs. The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. Just Jimmy Stewart, John Wayne, Lee Marvin, a young Lee Van Cleef. What a movie. If you've never seen The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, seek it out. It's black and white. It is a Western. It's not what you think. Jimmy Stewart is putting on a masterclass, as he always is. I think it might be the first time that Jimmy Stewart worked with John Wayne. It's not quite near the end of John Wayne's career, but it's near the end of, oh my God, Woody Strode is in it. One of the fantastic scenes of strength. There's this scene where it's kind of in the middle, where Jimmy Stewart has been beaten up and bullied by Liberty Valance, who's played by Lee Marvin. And John Wayne is kind of the one guy who Lee Marvin's a little bit afraid of. And then Jimmy Stewart is now working, kind of helping out in this restaurant. And he brings a steak in to the restaurant, and Liberty Valance sees him, and he trips him, and he drops the steak on the ground. And, John Wayne stands up and tells him, tells Liberty Valance to pick up the steak, and he won't do it. And there's kind of this showdown, and then Jimmy Stewart just like cusses both of them out. It's just like so much tension and so much this wrestling between the bravado of the Old West and the attempt to tame it with intellect and kindness, and the futility of it, and the battle between kind men and hard men, and trying to find this civilization within an uncivilized thing. Hey, man, I'm young and don't nearly know much about films as much as I'd like. You're inspiring me to binge watch everything you talked about right now. Isaiah, that's why I'm doing this, man. John, who's on here, is an old friend who's seen just about as many movies as I have, and we continue to inspire each other with movies like this. And and we have a friend named Mana who is just like in your boat, who is so excited about movies but hasn't seen as many of these old pictures. And we didn't watch these movies once or twice over. I mean, it's taken me a lifetime to see this. I just saw The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance this year, and I've known I was supposed to see it for the past 40 years of my life. I'm 55 years old. So like, give yourself some time, but make a point. So like, seeing Sinners is really important. You should see it. Mission Impossible, you should see stuff, but you should also balance it out by seeing Apocalypse Now, see the Godfather movies, but then also see the Maltese Falcon and see The Man from U.N.C.L.E. and see The Magnificent Seven, see Lawrence of Arabia, see those things, once a week, once every 2 weeks. Take a look at an old classic or look at the AFI list or just go back and look at my reels. And the movies that are on my collection they're pretty good. They really are. I've tried to select films that are important. They're certainly important to me, and I think important films that are worth your time. And, Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, I wouldn't put it in my top 20. But I definitely think it's an important movie to see, and it speaks to different things about this country and about this industry and about being a man. And so yeah, thank you, John. I appreciate the praise on it. I was pretty proud of how that came together too. I agree. Last one for tonight, I promise. This might sound fun on the heels of The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, but Mary Poppins Returns. Man, what a movie. Emily Blunt manages to somehow stand on the legacy of Julie Andrews and make this character her own. She does spectacular work. Lin-Manuel, his writing, his joy, his enthusiasm for the property, his care of the property of Mary Poppins, it's just delightful. And then, let me tell you, Ben Whishaw plays the grown-up little boy from the first Mary Poppins movie. And without giving out a whole lot, like, his wife has passed and he's a widower and his 2 kids are there. And, man, that dude, Ben Whishaw is one of our finest young British actors, dude. That dude, he plays Q in the James Bond films, the Daniel Craig James Bond pictures. He does some heavy lifting in this movie that's so deft, and there's some animation sequences in this film. Mark Shaman does the score. Dick Van Dyke even shows up. Dude, Mary Poppins Returns has something for everyone. I don't care how old you are, how jaded you are. We throw this movie in all the time. Like, we just went to honestly, there was like, the trailer was like, all right. And I gotta say, like, I'm not the world's biggest Mary Poppins fan, but I love Dick Van Dyke and I love Julie Andrews. And come on, like, who doesn't love Mary Poppins, man? We're Disney people. We went to go see Mary Poppins Returns. Dude, there was not a dry eye in the house. And it's so delightful. Went out and bought the soundtrack. It's just great. It's just great. So you owe yourself on a rainy day, like a day you need it. Mary Poppins Returns it's the cure for what ails you. All right. Yep. That's it. Emily paid homage to Julie by the way she delivered her performance. Ben carried a solid playing character, showed respect to the original. Truth. What's up, Rory? Welcome. Just in time for me signing off. I was just praising Mary Poppins Returns. Thanks for that comment, John. 100%. I'm glad you've seen it, because it really is like, and the Royal Dalton Music Hall number, like, it's so subversive and funny, and the visual execution is mind-blowing. And I remember I was doing a gig. I was doing a mocap gig, actually, and talking with a guy, and I mentioned how much we loved it, and he was like, oh, we did that. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, we did that Royal Dalton Music Hall number. That was a pain in the ass. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, we did the animation with the animals. He said the hardest thing was doing the stairs. The hardest thing was doing the 3D model of the stairs and then the animals 2D walking down these 3D stairs and then a camera doing this. It was a camera move where the camera was kind of like tracking along, so the perspective was shifting, and then we had to make sure that it aligned so that all of the 2D characters, their feet landed in the right place. He said it was a nightmare. So they really did execute it very well, seamlessly, and it's a tremendous technical achievement, and it looks so effortless and so light and airy and perfect. Colin Firth too. Oh my God, like how great is he in like the Kingsman and stuff? I just freaking love him in Kingsman. And then, here he is as the big bad in Mary Poppins Returns. What a joy. Okay, that's enough for me. It's been a half hour. I keep doing these things like I say. I'm going to do 3 movies, and then I do 9. No regrets. No regrets. Thanks for joining me. Always a pleasure. Love talking to you all. Peace. Go see Sinners. Good night.